Praise the Lord. So glad to see you guys tonight. Happy Thursday to you. Thank you for joining our broadcast. You were born to win. Listen, I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what you're experiencing right now in your life. I want you to know without a doubt in your mind that you were born to win and you are called to do something great in the earth. Bishop, how do you know? How do you know that I was born to win? And how do you know that I was born to do something great in the earth? Because he tells us, he said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, he said, I knew you. I knew you. I knew you. And I called you to be a prophet to a nation. He gave you a particular assignment to carry to a nation. And he says in his word, I know the plans, I know the thoughts, I know the outcome that's concerning you. And what are they? The thoughts of good and not of evil, and to give you an expected end, because you were born to win. And he gives us the stamp of approval by telling us that he causes all things, he causes us to triumph in him. So without a doubt in my mind, I know you were born to win. Guys, welcome to the broadcast tonight. We're going to wrap up tonight talking about entitlement. And then next week, I'm going to come back and I'm going to minister on 3 satanic weapons. We're still talking about the little things. And those 3 things I'm going to minister on next week are going to be talked about regret, shame, and guilt. Regret, shame, and guilt. That's what we're going to minister on next week as we're dealing with the little things. The little things. Sometimes we think it's the big things. So we're still dealing with our background text. Here it is. Catch the foxes. For us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards. It's the little things. Sometimes we think it's the big thing. And where we get that from? We got that from when Ed Reed was fighting for the championship. They were trying to win the Super Bowl, and they could never get past the New England Patriots. And he gathers those guys together at the end of that game, the last game of the season. They had lost again, could not get to the Super Bowl. And he told them, he said, hey guys, how do you expect to go to the Super Bowl? He said, how do you expect to go? He said, we can't do the little things. He went down a litany of list of little things, from picking up towels, from keeping the locker room clean, from using the certain language in the locker room. He said it's the little things that separates the have from the have not. It's the little things that separates those that are champions and those that are not champions. He said it's the little things. So my question to you, sometimes we think it's the big things. Sometimes we think it's this huge thing that is stopping us from becoming all that God has called us to be. And oftentimes it's just a small little thing. So we begin to talk about this little thing called entitlement. And we begin to talk about, where did it come from? What does it mean to be entitled? And then we talked about what caused us to be entitled. And that's what we talked about on last week. And I talked about how even I, as a parent, did some things that made my own children feel like they were entitled to some things. And we began to outline the behaviors and how do those things come about and how they begin to manifest in our life. But today we're going to deal with how to overcome it. How do you come out? How do you begin to walk in the victory that you know God has called you to walk in? So what is that definition of entitlement? We'll start there with our definition again. And we said that entitlement is the fact of having something, or you feel the right that you should have something that other people have, but you don't want to do the same work. You don't want to do the same effort. You don't want to do the same thing that they did to get it. You just feel like you're supposed to have it. You feel entitled to it. And we talked about some of those behaviors. We talked about how sometimes entitled people can be rude. They feel like they can express their opinion how they want to express it. They want to say what they want to say, regardless of how you feel. They feel that they can say it, and they feel entitled to their opinion. We talked about that on last week. And then, like I said, we talked about the origins of it. Tonight, we're going to close with how to overcome entitlement. How do you overcome this bad behavior of feeling like you're entitled? Some of us may have some children and they feel like they're entitled, you know. And how do I now go back and try to correct that? How do I now go back and try to fix that? I remember years ago when I was teaching at a little small school in Montgomery, Alabama, and the principal told me one time, he says, sometimes it's kind of hard. He says, it's easier to go in and be tough on kids and then begin to be a little bit lighter as the year goes on. And teachers, the people that have been teaching a lot of years, they understand that. Sometimes when you're tough on those first 3 months, you're tough. And then as the year goes on, you develop a relationship with them, you begin to let up a little bit. But some of us, we didn't start there. So how do you do it now? How do you shift and change the behavior now? Well, I sat in on one of my evaluations this week. My boss, I run my own program through the school, but he had to evaluate me, right? And one of the things when he was evaluating me on the program, he told me, he said, there's always room for growth. I want you to understand that. He says, always room for growth. And he said, one of the things we have to understand is that how do you eat an elephant? And, of course, we're not going to eat an elephant, right? But Vince Lombardi said this. He said, how do you eat an elephant? And my boss said that to me this week. He said, how do you eat an elephant? And we said, you eat an elephant piece by piece. Sometimes you want to eat the whole elephant at one time, right? But you eat an elephant piece by piece. And when you begin to show progress, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, don't get frustrated with the process, but show a little bit at a time. So that's why I titled this Embrace the Process. One of our partners, Jonathan Carr, I don't know where he got this saying from, but I love it. I mean, I love it because it talks to this thing called entitlement. And one of the things he says all the time, he'll say, embrace the grind and love the process. You hear that? Embrace the grind and love the process. In other words, what he's saying is, don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect it to be easy. You got to embrace the grind. Because, see, if success was easy, everybody would be successful. One of the guys said this. He said, one of my favorite speakers said, he said, if success was easy, he said, everybody would be smart, skinny, and healthy. He said, if success was easy, he said, everybody would be smart, skinny, and healthy, right? But we have to understand that there is a grind to it. A grind to it. And you got to embrace the process. So tonight, those of you that are struggling with entitlement, I don't want you to feel like you're going to change overnight. You're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to be a different person. No. Just like my boss told me, and just like Jonathan Carr says in this thing, embrace the grind. Understand that it's going to be a grind. It's going to be a grind. It's going to take time to change, right? But then I want you to embrace the grind. Understand it's going to be tough, but love the process. In other words, love the change, love the shift, love the change, the little changes. Celebrate the little changes. I believe in celebrating the little things that you do. Sometimes we looking for the big things. Celebrate the little things, guys. Celebrate the little things, the little victories. Celebrate the little things, okay? So embrace the grind. Embrace the grind and love the process. Embrace the grind and love the process, okay? So how do we overcome entitlement? Number one. And I put this one first because, and this is like something for my athletes, right? Because there are some athletes that have a special talent. And I'm going to give you a scenario when I'm talking about this when I say number one. Number one says, here's what I want you to do. How to overcome entitlement. Number one, don't confuse being special by expecting special treatment. Let me say that again. Don't confuse being special and expect special treatment. A lot of our athletes struggle with this, right? They have a gift. They have a talent. They're talented. They're talented. It's clear that you are that person. You are the guy. You are the offense runs through you. The defense runs through you. You are that person, right? But don't confuse because I'm special. I don't have to do the extra work. I don't have to do the extra lap. I don't have to do what coach says. I don't have to show up on time because I'm special. I don't have to watch the film. Because you are special should be the motivation to know that I got to do more than the next person. Deion Sanders said this the best. He said this. He says, he was talking about when he played quarterback, and he said, no matter what I played, he said, I outworked everybody. He said, because I knew I was that guy. He said, I always knew I was that guy. I always knew I was special. Smokey Robinson said the same thing, but he said it's slightly different than Deion Sanders said. Listen to what Smokey Robinson said on one of his interviews. Smokey Robinson said, it's people in my community. He said, where I grew up, he says, people in my community that can sing me under a table. He said, I'm talented, I'm gifted. He said, but there are people in my community that were way more gifted than me. They were way more talented than me. But what separated me from them, he said, number one, I understood that my gift was a gift from God. Listen to that now. My gift was a gift from God. And how do I pay God back? How do you pay a God that's so big, that owns the world? The Bible says the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. How do you pay a God back that's so big? How do you pay a God back that has everything? How do you pay a God back that put that talent, that put that gifting in you? I can tell you how to pay him back, because he said this, listen, my gift is a gift from God. But what I do with that gift is my gift back to him. Did you hear that? My gifting is a gift from God. But what I do with that gift is my gift back to him. That's how you pay a God back, is to know that I am not going to squander, I am not going to waste the talent and the gift that you give to me. I'm going to give it back to you. And how am I going to give it back to you? Because I am special. I'm going to do the extra work. I'm going to do whatever it takes to separate myself from everybody else. Guys, that's why people that, the entitled people, that ones that don't make it and the ones that make it, the only difference is they decided to stand up one day and say, I'm going to do the extra work. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes to give my gifting back to God. I'm not going to squander my time. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to do the extra running. I'm going to do the extra work. I'm going to show up a little bit earlier. I'm going to leave a little bit later. I'm going to love a little bit more. I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm not going to just speak freely. I'm going to treasure friendships. I'm going to treasure relationships. I'm going to walk in integrity. That's the little thing. Because I'm special, I'm not going to look, oh, how to get over. But I'm going to look, oh, how can I overcome? How can I be dominant in the gifting that God has given me? Number two, you got to learn how to regulate your emotions. How do you overcome entitlement? You got to learn how to regulate your emotions. Guys, everybody is in a hurry. Everybody got something to do. Everybody. Let me tell you a story. So today, you go talking about entitlement now. And I'm challenging it as well. Remember I told you that one of the things about entitlement, people feel like they can just say whatever they want to say, and they can just talk and do whatever they want to do. So let me tell you what happened to me today. So today I went to a job fair. I went to a expo. I went to an event where I could create opportunities for my students that are in my program. They could connect with these businesses and get jobs. Well, when I went in and where I parked, it was clear to me that the sign said you could park here for this amount of time. I read it. I looked at it. I knew that I was in the right with the parking. So I go in there to the event, have an amazing time. I mean, they roll. I mean, it was just an amazing time. The people were just all gracious to me. It was, they was happy I was there. I was so impressed with the businesses that there were. A lot of young entrepreneurs between the ages of, I would say, 20 and 25. It was one older lady there. She may have been in her 50s, but most of the entrepreneurs that were there between the ages of 20 and 25. Just an amazing event, right? So I'm approaching the time for me to move my car. So I said, okay, I'm rushing. So I rush back out, and I look out of the window, and I was on the phone with someone, and I see a ticket. I get out of the car, I walk out of the building, and I look at the ticket, and guys, I was livid because I know that I'm under the time. But the parking attendant was right there. And I said, listen, it says I can park here for this amount of time. And the parking attendant gets rude with me. I mean, very unprofessional. And so now, and I said something back. I said, it will be helpful if you guys will show the markings. And I'm trying to show them. I said, I'm right here. Guys, I may have been 1 inch or maybe 2 inches over. I think the person got down there and measured it. That's the only way you can tell. And guys, it was bubbling up. It was bubbling up. And the Spirit of God says, you're judged by the words that have come out of your mouth. And I said, you know what? I said, you're right. I apologize. I'll do better next time. God took everything in my power to say that I did. But an entitled person feel like, well, I mean, you should see this or you should know this. And I was about to go there. But see, you have to learn how to regulate your emotions. What does the word says about regulate your emotions? The word says this. He says, be slow to speak, but quick to listen. The word says, give soft answers to turn away wrath. Do not give grievous words to stir up anger. Don't go toe to toe with people. You don't have to do that because he'll fight your battle. He'll fight your battle. Now, you can state, if you feel like you're right about something, now, let me put a caveat on this now. If you're being mistreated in a situation, yes, of course, justify your position and don't continue to be mistreated. But what I'm saying is, when you feel entitled to something, or in that situation right there, listen, what is it going to hurt me just to move my car? And I'm saying that for the people that are impatient all the time. Nobody wants to wait in line. Nobody wants to wait in line. But guys, understand those people have been there before you. So regulate your emotions. Regulate your emotions. Yeah, I know it's one of the stores. I'm not going to call their name. But we know when we go to the line, you be like, now, come on, man. They can open another register. I know I'm not the only one that sees this. I know I'm not the only one that sees this, right? Regulate your emotions. I hate going into stores and they got all of the stuff locked. With my wife, sometimes we'll travel and I go to these stores and everything, all the medicines and all the stuff is locked behind something, but you can't get it, or you got to call somebody to get it as if everybody's in there a thief. Well, you got to understand, they put it there for a reason. And yeah, you want to say something, but hey, regulate your emotions. You got to learn how to regulate your emotions. Number 3, and this goes with number 2, learn to be mindful of people. When you're getting ready to say something, learn to be mindful of how that may make them feel, right? When you want to say something, now this is particularly for people that you're in a relationship with. Sometimes you can really go there. I can really, really go here right now. But learn to be mindful of people's emotions. Learn to be mindful. Am I going to hurt their feelings if I say this? You don't have to say it every time a certain way. You should practice and rehearse what you're going to say. Number 4, listen to people. Let me say that again. Listen to people. Let me say that again. Listen to people. I made a post this week and I said this. My great grandmother, Big Mama, she told me this. She said, Peanut, everybody ain't gonna tell the same lie. She said, that lie gonna differ. She said, but if everybody's saying the same lie, if everybody's saying the same thing, and there's no changing in it, but everybody is saying that everybody is repeating this. Everybody said the same thing about that person. It's not a lie. Everybody's not gonna tell the same lie. She was telling me that all the time, everybody gonna tell the same lie. So what I'm saying is, if you're in a situation and every time it's you, everything keeps pointing back to you. It's, it, it's, it, it's you. Learn to listen. Listen. Maybe I need to change my approach. Maybe I need to change the way I say this. Maybe I need to be a little bit more softer. Maybe I need to be a little bit more understanding. Guys, it's not personal. It's all about growth. Nobody wants to hear that their breath stinks. Let me tell you another situation. So I was in my office one day, and this young lady walked in my office, and I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it. And another young man walked in my office, and when they was just sitting there talking, he said, "Hey," he said it as nice as he could possibly say. He's like, "Hey, you got a booger in your nose." And the girl was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you got a booger in your nose." And she was like, and she was embarrassed. So she went to the bathroom and got the booger. And she was like, "Why would you say that to me?" He was like, "What, you want the booger to?" He's like, "I was trying to help you." That brings me to a point when I'm talking about when I'm saying listen to people. Nobody wants to hear that their breath stinks, right? Or nobody wants to hear they have a booger in their nose. But if sometimes when listen to and see, is it truthful? Is this true? Have 10 people told me I'm rude? If 10 people have said I'm rude, it's not them. You are rude. See, because everybody ain't gonna tell the same lie. If 10 people have told me, okay, that I can be vicious, or I can be vicious with my speech, or I can be critical. If 10 people have told me that, it's not the 10 people, it's you. Learn to listen to people. Listen to people and don't take things personal. Last one. Don't take, don't confuse encouragement with entitlement. Don't confuse encouragement with entitlement. Everybody likes to be encouraged, right? But entitled means you are supposed to speak about how well I'm doing, or how encouragement is sent to tell you to keep going, to, hey, you're doing better, hey, you're doing a good job, you're doing it. But you shouldn't expect it. Because who you're working for, right? You're working for the Lord, or to get your paycheck, or whatever you're working for. That should be your motivation, not people's words. Not people's words. Whether they give you a compliment or not, keep going. And when they give you encouragement, don't let it go to your head and be like, see, I told you I was the man. I told you I was the man. No, listen to what they're saying and always have a mindset. God, how can I get better? How can I get better? Because there's always room for growth. There's always room for growth. I will close with this. There's a story of a young lady who used to get up every morning. And when she would get up every morning, she would look out of the window. And she would look at those kids and she would judge those kids. And she would say, it doesn't make any sense for a mama to have her children out there every day, dirty and not clean. She said, one day I'm going to go over here and tell this lady she need to bathe her children and put her children on fresh clothes. She did this every day. She got up every day, and she would go to her husband and tell her husband about how dirty and filthy the mother on the other side. She needs to be like us. We get up and we bathe every day. We get up and we clean ourselves every day. And I cannot believe that a mother would allow her children out here in this yard playing with these dirty, filthy clothes. The next day she got up, but this day when she got up, she looked out the window, she said, And she folded up, she said, it's about time that mother put those children on clean clothes. They look so clean and pretty and pristine. Oh, they just look beautiful. I knew those were always beautiful children. Only thing the mother needed to do was put the children on clean clothes. And I thank God that today she put the children on clean clothes. She went and told her husband. She said, hey, honey, the lady next door got up this morning. She put clean clothes on the children. When they were out there playing in the yard, all of their clothes were clean and they looked so beautiful. The husband looked at it and said, yeah. He said, because this morning when I got up, I cleaned our windows. And so it gave you a clearer picture. All the time, she was looking at those children through a dirty lens of entitlement. How many of us are doing that? How many of us are doing that? Right? One of my favorite songs, my father used to be in a quartet group, and the quartet group used to say, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. You know, entitled people, they feel like you need to be like me, you need to do this better. These judgmental, entitled people that are trying to ruin your life, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. God bless you guys. I hope it was a blessing for you. Next week, we're going to talk about guilt, we're going to talk about guilt, regret, and shame. I believe that's another little thing that is stopping you from becoming all that God has called you to be. God bless you. We'll see you on next week.